Hey everyone, it's me. I'm still in the hospital. Haven't been discharged yet for what happened to my arm. I, the way it got broke is a very rare and unique situation. Um, but well, it's the way it broke is very unique. It's I shattered my left forearm right here, and they had to call in a special surgeon to get it fixed. So yeah, I think they were out of state if I can remember right. But yeah. In case if you're wondering, it's because of I. This happened to me because I got Epic Grind shoes or so shoes. Oh, sorry. It wasn't because of those shoes though. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not gonna for a while. I'm not gonna try those shoes again for a long time if ever. I was holding this phone I'm holding right now for this video while I was grinding on the rail, and I lost my balance, and it caused me to shatter my arm really horribly. So when I fell off, very weird. I know, but that's how it happened. Anyways, that's off topic, I know from the video, but I had something personal going on in my life that's kind of big, so I decided to open up with that, get out of the way really quick. This has been a weird year for me in general so far. Good things have definitely happened. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like a lot of like big bad things have been like constantly happening, and like not constantly. I wouldn't say constantly, no, but like unexpected like big bad things keep popping up, and like with my personal life, with my family, with my job, with my arm, and now with one of my personal favorite heroes has passed away, and it's something that we need to talk about. I need to address this. I was gonna wait till I got home and make a video, but I've been sharing news about this all day in my Facebook feed, on my TikTok, on my accounts. I've been just I was crying quietly. I didn't. My tears just came out last night. Like I didn't think I was gonna cry with his death, but I did. Like I wasn't like bawling. I was just like laying there, and I just started crying. I was like, I can't believe it. It hurts. It still does. It still hurts that Akira Toriyama is gone. He has passed away, and it's sad. It really is. It's very painful. He created one of the most legendary franchises of all time, if not debatably the most legendary franchise of all time. Dragon Ball is not underrated or anything like that, but it doesn't. I still don't. It does get all the love it deserves for sure, but I feel like at least here in the West, it deserves to be even bigger than it is. But it's still pretty huge for what it is. Obviously, the whole world is affected by this. Obviously, most human beings, most of us as a species, are affected by this. Most of us, understand how much of a huge impact this is. This is very tragic. It is, and it's a real shock, and I can't believe it's now. I thought he was going to be around for at least another 5-10 years. It was something that I was obviously in the back of my mind. I was hearing, yes, and I haven't talked much about him, but I always did look up to him. And if you read interviews on him, if you watch, if you read what he's like, he doesn't sound like what what you might expect him to be like. Like he doesn't always come off as like modest and humble. He's a little. Oh, by the way, this is just an IV tube. If you are wondering what the heck this thing is in my arm, they're gonna take it out before I leave. If it makes you just if my appearance disturbs you in any kind of way, I do apologize. I should have said that because this will make some people feel squeamish, I'm sure. So try to, yeah, or just close your eyes or something if you want to do the video, because I do have a lot to say. I really do. Where was I with this? He seems a little like questionable with some things he says. Like, some people got really offended by some things he said. Like he came out as like a huge pervert. He says some inappropriate things about his granddaughter. He created that really weird rapey story with that superhero girl. And yeah, and that turned a lot of people off, and they're like, wow, I am done with this man. But I think a lot of us moved on from that. It didn't affect us as much as we thought it would. That was a different time, and he said and did those things, and he still has a family that loves him. He's still a father. He's still a grandfather at the end of the day with a beloved family. He still supports them. He still understands of how huge of an impact his series has had on others. He's still a respectable man. I would say most people who know him personally have said nothing but good things about him. So with that in mind, I think it's appropriate to forgive him to some extent to see how he is. Because you have to remember, Toriyama is obviously not a perfect man. Nobody is. I made mistakes I'm not proud of, but does that mean that others should be like, oh, he's a fucking piece of shit because of that? Of course not. No, and I feel the same about Toriyama. He created a franchise that anyone in the universe can relate with. That the most biggest global thing ever. That debatably on a spiritual level for its messaging, debatably bigger than the likes of Star Wars. I mean, That's really important. Dragon Ball, you can be anyone, any age, any gender, any group, anything. You can be any kind of human being or alien species or whatever, and get into it and understand it and love it and attach it and enjoy it immediately, just like that. I did, and I want to be an author. I've talked about this many times from every now and then in my YouTube videos. I'm working on my book, and I've been wanting to be an author since I was 9 years old. I didn't grow up with Dragon Ball during that time. I didn't get into Dragon Ball until I was 14. I bought the awful, shitty ass orange brick season sets at the time that were terrible, video quality. I didn't know that, that they were like, dog shit. But that's how I got into the franchise, and it inspired me to add so much more to my story. It did. I had so much more layers. I think I added a ton of new characters because of Dragon Ball Z to my story. I think so. I think a lot of characters I wanted. Or no, I re-edited some characters a little bit. Yeah, I think so. I don't know. Bionic also had a huge influence too what I had on my character creation, but Dragon Ball did as well. Dragon Ball definitely helped inspire me for personalities. Yes, and seriously, this is crazy. It is. I can't believe it, and it hurts, but also generally kind of angry with Toriyama, because he never really gave Dragon Ball a satisfying, proper finale ending, and that's a very debatable statement that I want to talk about, because a lot of people are satisfied with the way Z ended, and to me, I am too, but I'm also kind of frustrated with it. And I don't feel like that was a true proper ending, but I do understand it. And people say, "Oh, it's imperfect character with Goku. It makes sense. Yeah, blah blah blah." And yes, that may be true, and I do agree with that to some point. But I just wanted something else. I think that brand new rewrite for Dragon Ball Z Kakarot was a beautiful way to redo the ending of Z. And maybe the people who made that knew that Toriyama was passing away. Maybe that's a part of why they came out with that DLC patch recently. I have no idea if any of that is connected to Dragon Ball Z Kakarot and his passing. It seems to me his death was pretty sudden with his condition. I think he had a blood clot in his. I don't know if he had a blood clot in his brain, but he did. It is a type of blood clot what he had. It's called like Hita Mortha. I don't know. I'm in a hospital. I should know this stuff, right? But I don't. So, but what he had was still pretty big. And the reason why I'm going to address more why I'm frustrated is because I do feel like he never really gave us that satisfying ending the same way that Dragon Ball GT did. Dragon Ball GT had the best ending in any Dragon Ball story, and I wanted something like that from Toriyama. I wanted him to do something like that. I wanted him to write an ending where Goku and Vegeta go out together, like that Rising Fist fan-made version when Goku's like a really old man and Vegeta's a god of destruction, and they go out in one final battle in front of a school of pupils. They have trained out all these students, and they're both getting really old, and they're like, let's give them one more show for them and for us. And they go out, and then they their bodies just evaporate after one last final fight, and their pupils are like, it's up to us to continue their legacy, which wouldn't be a fully beautiful, satisfying ending either. But like seeing how Dragon Ball Online takes place 100 years after Dragon Ball Z, I can see that kind of like scenario happening. I don't know, that's just my own fan headcanon ending, but I love the way GT ended. I think that's like the perfect way to end it in general. That was a beautiful tribute to Goku, to Dragon Ball in general. Not just to Goku though, to all the characters. With the exception of Piccolo, he really got his tribute in GT, and the way Piccolo went out was beautiful, even though it didn't make a lot of sense. It was still a beautiful, tragic death. And it's just, it was so powerful that Vegeta was truly the only character that truly understood what was going on with Goku versus the other characters. That's huge. Like Dragon Ball, the more I think about it, the deeper it is. The more like people point things out that I never even thought about. That's like really deep. Like I saw this video edit of Android 8, all the way back in Dragon Ball, talking to Goku that killing General White is not right. He shouldn't do it. And then it fast forwards to Goku's stare off with Frieza after Frieza cut himself in half, and how like resonated with his emotions in that moment. And I'm like, that is some deep thought shit right there. Wow, holy crap! And in a huge, awesome recent character analysis video Goku recently was the differences between his defeat of Frieza on Namek versus the manga versus the anime. That in the manga, his expression, or in the anime, his expression is just anger. He was angry with Frieza. He was frustrated with Frieza. that he is, that Goku had to like defeat him in such a way. But in the manga, his expression is that of tragic. He's sad. Goku is sad that he had to finish off Frieza because his teachings, what he believed in, his core values, were not reaching to Frieza, and it hurt him. It hurt Goku. And I can relate with that. I can relate with that strongly. I have my core values, my core beliefs that I feel like every human being in the world should be like. But I know I've met people personally that will never be that way, and it does hurt. It does. It does. It sucks when you meet somebody who you expect better from. You want them to be a decent human being. You want them to be a good man or a good woman or a good person, and they'll just never happen. And they have like, bipolar disorder or some shit. I don't know, but like it's just it hurts. It does, and you just have to understand it and move on. And that's exactly what happened with Goku and Frieza. And even now, with seeing his relationship with Frieza in the series now, it kind of makes sense. Like it's awful he killed his best friend, but it's very much in character for Goku to forgive him for that. At some point, move on and hopefully make up with him or something. But he's still, an awful piece of garbage villain. So I think Goku recognizes that and understands that. He doesn't, fully go to that level of being his friend. Right. So yeah, he is a very deep character. They all are, and I agree that Goku is one of the most misunderstood main protagonists of all time. I feel like most people do not understand his character. They're just like, who is because he is complicated. A lot of people think Goku's simple because he comes off as simple, but in actuality, no. Every character in Dragon Ball is pretty complicated, especially Goku, because for the fact that nobody can downright like describe what he's actually like and get it right says a lot, doesn't it? Like it kind of makes me angry when people don't understand Dragon Ball is deep, or Goku is deep, or this all this stuff has like more meaning to it when it's like it does. You're just not opening your eyes. Again, see, this is part of me as a human being. It's frustrating when people do not go through my core beliefs, and this is an example of what I'm talking about. So yeah, I personally knew somebody who I worked with at my old job who constantly told me that Dragon Ball is not that deep, and I'm like, but it is. And we had arguments about this kind of stuff all the time, and but that's whatever, But yeah, it's I can also forgive Toriyama for not ending Dragon Ball, obviously, because I'm a human being, and it's not fully against him. He got really creative, and he wanted to, continue it, and I'm hoping that most of you that are watching this know this fact, that because of Dragon Ball Evolution and it being an awful live-action movie, that inspired Akira Toriyama to continue the series. He created after something first, right? This beloved, goofy-ass comedic manga franchise in Japan, and he's like, I'm ready to be done, but I'm going to make this little one-off thing, and then after that, I don't know, I think I'll be done. And he made Dragon Ball, then he's like, for some reason, he just continued. His editor, pushed him to keep going. He watched a bunch of old kung fu films, Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan, and karate stuff, and he studied martial arts on his own, and I think at least he read up on it. Then he took that into his story, and he just kept going with it, and he wanted to end it with Goku reuniting with Member Gohan, with Goku defeating, I think, Tien in the 22nd tournament. I think he wanted to end it there. The Red Ribbon Army Saga, which is, before... Okay, fine. The Red Ribbon Army Saga, which is, I think, around the time when he reunited with Grimmer Gohan, yeah. Which, that would be perfect if he ended there, but it also will leave so much out for what we got after that. So, no, I'm glad Dragon Ball didn't end there. For Goku, defeating Piccolo, he was for sure gonna end it with the same saga, because all the main characters were being killed off one by one during that saga, and it was Dragon Ball Z is called Dragon Ball Z because the Z signifies the end. It's the last letter of the alphabet, and he wanted to end it. In Toei Animation, the parent company that animated the show wanted a new branding name for the series, because the manga in Japan was always called Dragon Ball. It was never called Dragon Ball Z. That was Toriyama's main series. Dragon Ball Z is technically Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, the animes, are adaptations, and again, the term adaptation can mean anything. You have to understand, this is another thing. This is going to go off topic because of my autism. Most Dragon Ball fans don't know what the hell don't know what in the world they're talking about when it comes to like canon. And I feel like this is definitely a part of that, because the manga is not the same thing as the anime. We all know that, but like, there is no real true canon when it comes to Dragon Ball. Just enjoy. If it's beautiful and it has the spirit and the strength, if it feels like Dragon Ball, that's all that should matter, right? And I feel that way about any franchise, not just Dragon Ball. Like, I don't know, like the Star Wars sequel movies trilogy, for example, right? That's canon, but can we all enjoy that? No, of course not. No. What if? Yeah, like I don't know, like something like that. So it's like I don't know, but that's not the best example. But like it's very hairy when it comes to canon with Dragon Ball. It is, but even I'm like, oh, that's canon, that's not canon. Yeah, I still do that, but I know, like, at the end of the day, like, it doesn't really freaking matter. Like, for example, like the old Broly movies versus Dragon Ball Super Broly, it's all good. Like, it doesn't really matter. Like, I don't know where I'm going with this. It's a very complicated topic. I can maybe discuss this more in a future video. Um, if you want to, if you want more like deep dive analytics and conversation pieces about Dragon Ball, I would highly recommend videos. I would highly recommend check out Geekdom 101. Geekdom 101 is like the ambassador representative of the Dragon Ball fanbase community. He really is. He's like the number one like leader of all Dragon Ball fans in a way. He knows what he's talking about 24/7. Like 95 to 100% of the time, he knows exactly what he's talking about. You should definitely check out Geekdom 101. He's like the number one core Dragon Ball fan that I usually 100% agree with. Nothing against Blackscape or other Dragon Ball YouTubers or anyone like that. They're all great too. But I recommend Geekdom because he gets so much great insight. And also Carthu. How can I not mention Carthu? Carthu's awesome too. Carthu, Blackscape, and Geekdom, they're all great. Nothing against, Carthu and Blackscape, but yeah, no, I highly recommend Geekdom. And I agree with his emotions. I agree with everyone's emotions about what's going on with this news. It is very sudden. It's crazy, but yeah, I just want to say thank you, Toriyama, for creating Dragon Ball, for creating, Goku, Gohan, Piccolo, Bulma, Chi-Chi to some degree. Android 18, Android 17, and Android 16, which is a beloved character, forgotten or not. I think it's bullshit that he didn't get Wish back, but it is what it is because he's not technically, like organic. So I guess that's why he didn't come back. But he did have a soul. No matter he did. Vegeta. How can I mention Vegeta? Even Frieza and Cell, because they're such great villains. King Piccolo, Vegito, my favorite character in the series. Along with Gohan. I love Vegito and Gohan and Goku and Vegeta separately as well, not just fused together. Gogeta, Dragon Ball Super. Thank you for creating all those amazing techniques in this series, like the solar flare, the after image, the Kamehameha itself, the Mechanical Step Power, the Special Beam Cannon, the Gallic Gun, the Final Flash, the Big Bang Attack. Oh my god, and all these transformations like Super Saiyan 1, 2, and 3. He didn't create Super Saiyan 4, but that's okay because even Toriyama's like, that's a badass form, even though if I didn't create it. Yeah, like he still has a lot of respect for it. He seemed like he was a really endearing man, and he definitely he wanted to end Dragon Ball a lot, but he always cared about it. It was still his baby. It was still his franchise. If he could have it his way, he would have ended it way back, I think, with Grandma Gohan. But he also knew that this series should go outside of Japan. He was a part of that. He I think he initially gave the okay of Dragon Ball coming here to America. Like Ichiro Oda mentioned that in his speech. He said he was an inspiration. Seeing Toriyama's work going outside of the East was a huge inspiration to all mangakas, and that's 100% true. If it wasn't for Dragon Ball, anime wouldn't be as big as it is right now. It is the biggest. It's debatably. I said I kind of said we're going to begin my video, and there's going to be a lot of arguments and probably disagreements in the comments, but I don't give a shit because I know exactly what I'm talking about. It's debatably the biggest franchise ever. I fucking said it. Even bigger than Star Wars. Even though it's not as popular, even though it's not as like here in America, it's not as like mainstream. I would say as like the likes of Star Wars or the Lord of the Rings, essentially. Well, okay, more so Star Wars. It's globally it impacted so much. Everywhere, not just in America, not just in Japan. I mean, look at Mexico, for crying out loud. Mexico is Dragon Ball land. The whole country, Dragon Ball land. Boom, there you go. The whole fucking country. Every Mexican person is inspired by Dragon Ball. Everyone, as far as I know. I can't point to a country and say, oh, that's Star Wars country. I can't. No. Mexico is downright Dragon Ball country. Even like the senator of Mexico himself is a huge fan. Or like the like their ambassador. I don't know what the correct term is. I'm sorry, but you guys get what I'm saying. Like it's that huge. I mean, Japan is basically One Piece land, but I don't think One Piece. It comes close. It comes really close to the culture impact. I mean, there's for crying out, there's bronze statues of the Star Pirates in Japan, the restaurants and all this stuff. So yes, it has a humongous cultural influence in Japan. But I would debate. It's like, which one's bigger though? The culture impact of Dragon Ball in Mexico or the culture impact of One Piece in Japan? Which one would you say is bigger? Because that's a really interesting like debate. Like I don't know. Maybe it's very equal. It's very equal. But which one is? I think Mexico might be just a little bit tinier, bigger, in a little bit. I do think so. I think Mexico has a winning chance in that debate. I really do. I bet you. And you know, I'm the biggest One Piece fan that I know. It's my series. I love it more than Dragon Ball. I do. As a TV show, I do. It's my favorite TV show of all time. It's my favorite story of all time. It is. So keep that in mind. And even so, I still have a lot of admiration and respect for Dragon Ball, because if it wasn't for Dragon Ball, we wouldn't have One Piece. We wouldn't have most of the stories we have today. You know, there's this guy who I worked with that said Attack on Titan is the most influential anime of this generation of all time, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, Dragon Ball Z will forever be that anime. Like, then nothing will ever top it. And that statement is for sure now more true than ever before. So please, as a human being, show some respect for the most iconic franchise of all time. The most important franchise of all time. Debatably. Rest in peace, Akira Toriyama. I can't believe you're gone at 60 years old. That is very sad. Nobody was ready for this. It's not your fault that you didn't give Dragon Ball a proper ending. You really wanted to just move on with your life and retire. And it's also somewhat sensible and respectful to give it an open ending for the people who do love it. For them to pick it up and continue it. And now we're living in that world again. This time it's for real. This time it really is without you. You're not going into retirement for 20 years. No, you're gone. You're not coming back into this reality. Hopefully your soul's resting well in heaven, and whoever can continue the Dragon Ball story, whoever that person's going to be, I'm pretty sure it's going to be Toyotaru. I'm sure you will. I hope that they do justice, you know. And I'm sure they will, because you have to remember, I know GT is a really good example of being like, that's going to be Dragon Ball now without Toriyama, but you have to remember, the creators of GT wanted more time for that show. Can you imagine, if GT had more time to be fleshed out, you know it would be a better show. Don't tell me that it wouldn't be. You would know for a fact to be a better show. If it got greenlit for more episodes, it would be a better show than what we end up having. Like, come on. Don't tell me that it wouldn't be. They wanted better for GT, so remember that, okay? It wasn't fully the creator's fault when it came to the way GT turned out. Yes, it should have had a better beginning. The beginning was pretty lame. I will agree with that. That's a big reason why it only has 64 episodes, because of the way it started. If they approached the beginning of it differently, then I think GT would have a chance. And this is gonna be disrespectful as fuck for me to say, and I understand that. I'm sorry in advance, but I do not care at all for Dragon Ball Daima. I don't want it to exist now, and if that bothers you, I'm sorry. But I really just care about Dragon Ball Super going forward from there in the mainline, because that is an evolution of what's so important to this franchise. Not Dragon Ball Daima. I'm sorry. You know, I'm sorry. Like, Toriyama, like, come on. You know, no disrespect to you, man, but like, I don't know. I know there's a fan base for it. I know there's people who are excited for it, but it's that I think I straight up believe its existence is just asinine. I'm sorry. I am not a fan of that idea. My original video, most of the way I was feeling about my initial reaction to Dragon Ball Daima is still similar. Most of my real life friends, okay, people who I talk to, people who love Dragon Ball just like I do, we're on the same page about that. Like, it's not just me. Like a lot of fans know Daima is like, what is going on? Like, what are they doing? So hopefully, whatever happens with Dragon Ball, it is for the best. So guys, this is it. Until we meet again, Akira Toriyama, sayonara. Thank you for everything, and long live Dragon Ball, obviously. And it will probably go on forever. I mean, yeah, it probably will, but for better or for worse, right? But Toriyama, thank you. Seriously though, thank you. So I don't know how to end this video. I already gave I already said everything I needed to say. I guess I'll just say instant transmission and just, you know. But yeah, peace out, guys. Until And until next time, and again, until we meet again, farewell.